Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. Hello, everyone. I am Sophia Melonē, the Debt Demolisher, here to bring you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you manage your financial baggage the right way. It is an honor and absolute privilege to be before you all for our final Budget With Me live stream. Yes, at a completely later time. First, let me apologize once again to all of you all this morning. I set our Budget With Me to be like around 7:50 in the morning, just so that we could at least have an hour prior to jumping on to Tony Gaskin's 2023 kickoff for like the This Is My Year. And I overslept this morning, you guys. I didn't get up until after 9 o'clock. And I felt so bad. I just felt so bad. And I just want to apologize once again to everybody for the mix up with the start time. But we are here. And I still need to get my budgets done because I did not have an opportunity to do it this morning, like I said. So as soon as I woke up, I just jumped right onto the kickoff session. And then we just got off and I had to run downstairs and grab something to snack on. And now getting us started. So before we get into our lesson, before I pull up the agenda, I got to say hi to everyone that's in the video. Oh, I got the wrong thing up. This is not the Read With Me. It should be Budget With Me. Oh, okay, Budget With Me in the morning, you guys. In the evening now, whatever time it is, afternoon now. All right. Well, we have Q Scott in the room. Says, welcome everyone to the encore of our Budget With Me session. Yes, Q Scott, and I have to thank you so much for everything, for checking up on me, and had Chef Joe calling me and texting me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. But thank you so much for helping and keeping me in line and checking in. I just appreciate it so much, and all of the support and encouragement that you were giving inside of Tony Gaskin's virtual session, the kickoff session that we had today. So hey Q Scott, hey Q Scott, let's go, come on, hey Q Scott, hey Q Scott, let's go, come on, hey Q Scott, hey Q Scott, pass it to Bria, hey Q Scott, hey Q Scott, pass it to Bria. Oh, shout out to Q Scott, our moderator in the room, one of three. One of our dynamic moderator trios is in the building this morning. I keep saying this morning, it's afternoon now, this afternoon, but I'm so glad that you're here. We also have Queen Lisa H in the room, says hello DDTV fam, and she slid in the room with her takeoff stamp. Hey Queen Lisa H, so good to see you. Welcome on into this room. I am so glad that you are here. You are here. You are here. Hey, I said Queen Lisa H got that takeoff stand. I said Queen Lisa H got that takeoff stand. She got that takeoff stand. She got that takeoff stand. I said Queen Lisa H got the takeoff stand. She ready to go. Let's go. She trying to go. Let's go. She got the takeoff stand. I said Queen Lisa H got the takeoff stand. Let's go, Queen Lisa H. So glad that you're here with us this afternoon for our Budget With Me live stream. We also got Akila. I said Akila is in the room. I said Akila, can you sing it in the room? No, I can't sing like her, but I'm gonna try to blow these tunes like her. Let's go. Shout out to you, Akila, for being in the room this morning. So good to see you. Good afternoon. It's so good to see you this afternoon. We have our second moderator in the room today. Acacia says good morning or good afternoon. One more gain. Where that budget at? Whoop, there it is. Let's do it, DDTV family. Hey, Acacia, so good to see you. Welcome on into this room. I am so glad that you are here. I'm so glad that you are here. Teaming it up with Q Scott this afternoon for our Budget With Me live stream. Hey Acacia, go Acacia. Hey Acacia, come on, let's go Acacia. Let's go. Hey Acacia, go Acacia. Hey, Acacia, come on, let's go, Acacia. Let's go, 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 let's go. Shout out to Acacia in the room. I'm so glad you're here this afternoon. So if you guys are ready, we're going to jump right into our Budget With Me live stream because I have multiple things that I kind of want to get through. I have some checks that I also have to deposit as well. I got some reimbursements, which is pretty cool. So perfect timing for that. But we're going to use our time to jump right into our lesson. So let me go ahead and pull up the agenda for today. If some of you are new to how we do the budget with me, if some of you are new to how we do the budget with me, we come together and we choose a financial task that we want to work on, and we work on it for 45 minutes, and then we have a progress check-in. So one of the things that I want to share as we kind of go through this process is identify what it is that you want to tackle, but then also set a goal for yourself for what you want to be able to get done in a specific window. So for me, one of the things that I want to be able to get through is, of course, making these deposits for these reimbursements checks that I receive, and then also making sure that I'm looking at my snapshot for all of my balances for my debts to see where I am in terms of how much I paid off thus far. And this is actually, you guys, this is my 7th year anniversary of starting my debt elimination journey. So 7 years ago today, I literally did an exercise that changed the whole game for me of how I look at my financial situation. And as a result of going through those things, I'm now able to, continue to learn and grow and share my journey and share my progress and my steps and all of that stuff with you guys. And so it's just amazing to just think back to see, like, it's been 7 years now since I started this thing, or once I've actually had my financial awakening. And I'm just grateful to be along the journey with you all in this session. So I'm going to put 45 minutes on the clock, so that way I won't take up more of your time, especially for those of us who we just ended the Tony Gaskins session, which was amazing, by the way. Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. Like, I'm still like shaking. I'm still shaking, but nonetheless, we're just going to go ahead and get the time started. 45 minutes on the clock. Grab your budgets, get everything you need, and then we'll check in for our progress. All right, let's go. Okay, everyone. So that was 45 minutes. I'm super excited because I noticed a few things. So I had my accordion folders. One of the things that I had suggested a while back to help organize your finances is having a placeholder like for your letters and things that come in the mail. I know there are many folks who do paperless, so they've gone the paperless route. But me managing things with my mom as well as myself, we still have a lot of things that come physical in the mail. Just because of my mom's comfort level, she likes to be able to see those statements and stuff like that. And also it helps serves as a refresher for me to recall on what she has like set up or what she has a responsibility for. Because if everything was electronic, I can't get into her email. So if there was something that was auto bill or something that was sent, I wouldn't be able to see it because I don't have her email address. So I appreciate having these tangible bills that come in the mail, even though it's a lot of paper to deal with. It does help me stay on task with getting things updated. So I was going through the bills. I was like, oh, I think I might have forgot to pay something. And it turns out that I had already paid it. I just don't remember like when I paid it because it said that the balance was zero. Another thing I noticed on one of my not one of my statements, but one of my mom's statements was that her credit score had went up. So you all know that that was one of the things that I was trying to work on with helping to get my mom's credit score to go up. And with her being in the condition that she's in now, I've been able to, or I've had to have the responsibility to literally manage everything without her having any say so or any involvement because she's not able to. So today I opened up her statement and her score finally passed 700. So I'm celebrating my mom right now because I got her score above 700. And so I'm excited about that. I'm like, yes, I said my mom's going to be so happy, y'all, because my mama, she didn't understand what she was over there doing. She was maxing out these credit cards and she just wasn't paying enough. And I was like, Mom, and I had paid off her cars before several times. And after that, after like my third time paying it off, I was like, look, Mom, I said, I said, I can't do this. I said, we're going to have to pay your stuff with your money, I was like, I'm not paying anything related to your credit cards out of my funds. I can pay everything else, anything else you need. When it comes to stuff that you swiping on the credit card, I can't have that come out of my budget because that's your mismanagement of your behavior that I'm over here funding. And I'm like, Mama, we can't do that. So because she's been in the condition that she's in, paid off one of her credit cards. That was amazing to be able to get that done. And then now we paid off the other one and her score and what it's like the one that we kind of manage. So I do the same thing like I do for mine. I put all of my recurring bills on the card so that way she can still keep the card active, but it's still incorporated inside of the budgets. So that way, whenever those charges happen, I just make the payment on the credit card and then she gets the points at the same time, which I don't even know how to like redeem the points for her because I think it showed how much points she has now. And she has quite a few because now we put all of the activity on her card and then I just pay the card every month. So I got to figure out how to get those points redeemed at some point. But it's good to just let it accumulate and let it build because if worst comes to worst, I could use that money as a part of a credit to whatever statement that she may have in a future time. So that was a good bonus news. I think there's one other thing that I have to pay, but I need my other phone in order to do it. But I think she's all set. I got everything organized on my end as well. There's still a few things that I want to be able to do in terms of listing out all of my balances as to where I am now. Shout out to Sherry because Sherry has been getting caught up on the Fin Switch audiobook and she did the 50-second lesson, which is the last one for the whole year. It's pretty much an audiobook that could span over a full year where you can take a nugget, listen to that lesson, apply that lesson for the week, and then it'll last you all the way to the end of the year. But the last lesson of the year in the Fin Switch is the same exercise that I performed on this very day 7 years ago, where I just was trying to find a different way to evaluate how I was handling my personal finances and what I was doing with my money and how to set my goals for the next year, looking at every area of my life. And when I got to the money, I came up with this idea to do this exercise and it just changed the game for me. So I had that exercise included inside of the Fin Switch audiobook, but Sherry did her growth growth work for that. And it reminded me that it's the anniversary date of when I did that exercise downstairs in my dining room, working through my resolutions, quote unquote, resolutions for the new year of 2016. But this was on December 31st, 2015. So those are the highlights. I think I still want to be able to just kind of look to see what my numbers. I think I'm at this point where I no longer really want to track how much debt I've paid off, because at this point I'm past $500,000. So it doesn't mean it. I feel like for me, it's a different way that I need to start tracking progress that could give me a greater boost, because now this just kind of feels like the norm, just being strategic, paying things off, getting debt down and all of that. But I need another enthusiastic way to measure financial achievements, so to speak. So I'm thinking of something different to do for the new year, but still making sure that I'm managing what I'm taking out and how much. And I mean, I have my role, I have my processes, I have my ways of doing things, but yeah, I want to take a different lens to how I'm tracking my wins, or tracking, I guess, highlights or achievements from a financial perspective, and not just solely tying it completely to debt. Even though I'm the debt demolisher, that's the name that I kind of came up for myself, just because of the progress that I was making in so quick time, and then helping people in that same regard. It's just inevitable, but I could always have another way to track that, and I don't have to always tie it to debt. The next thing that I wanted to share was that we had a question that came through during our, I'm not going to say during our, well, there's a way where you could submit VIP questions for the live streams. And one came in and they asked a question specifically around sales and use tax. And so how to file them, getting ready for corporate taxes and so forth. And so I wanted to just speak high level on sales and use tax, because it's more so of a business kind of thing. So depending on the type of work that you do, or the type of business that you do, or the state that you live in, different states have different requirements when it comes to sales and use tax, because sales and use tax is a state and local level kind of tax implication, and not a federal level tax implication. So when you're thinking about sales and use tax, essentially sales and use tax, we all know that it's more than likely we pay sales tax on everything that we buy. There are some states that don't charge income tax. There are some states that don't charge sales tax. It just depends on where you live. But for the most part, most states charge sales tax. And so if you pay sales tax, then typically you won't have to pay use tax. But if you don't pay sales tax, then more than likely you'll have to pay use tax. So what use tax is you essentially paying for, or I'm not going to say you, or the business paying for its consumption on a taxable good that they didn't pay sales tax on. So this is why the term is called sales and use tax, because it's either you're going to be doing one or the other, or you may have to do both. So the best way to figure out if you have to pay sales and use tax is if that taxable item, or if that good or service that you're selling in the state in which you are operating in is a taxable item. And the only way that you can really tell this is by going to your state government's website, their revenue office. Every state has a tax revenue office of some sort. It may be revenue department, it may be tax and revenue, maybe whatever. It's a revenue of some sort department within the state that you live in. And that website will give you all of the details that you need to know. What the tax rate is on the sales and use tax, which taxable items are necessary. And matter of fact, I'm gonna do a quick demo on this so that way folks can know. Let me see if I can share screen. Is probably what I'm gonna have to do. Get a new tab. Okay. Let me go here. It's outside and I gotta run. Okay, I think I'm share screening this inside of the thing now. Okay, so the screen, it takes up my whole window, so I'm not going to be able to see anything, but I'll just run through it while I'm going through this. So the best thing that you can do is pull up your Google and type in your state, unless you already know your state's revenue department's website. But if, for example, you live in, let's say Florida, you live in the state of Florida. We all just got off of TG's. Well, most of us just got off of TG's kickoff seminar. So I'm just going to use Florida as an example. So if you live in the state of Florida, you can just put sales and use tax, look, boom, in Florida, and you want to find their site. I want to make sure. That's interesting. They got a .com. Normally, I'm leery of looking at websites that don't have a .gov on it, but this may be their official site. So again, it can vary by state, but this may be the official site. But let me click on it and see. This looks like it might be the site. So here we go. So Florida sales and use tax, each sale, admission, storage, or rental in Florida is taxable. So remember, I was just sharing with you all that the state will define what is taxable to them. Like every state revenue office, they could come up with their own tax laws. So majority of them for federal purposes follow federal, but the individual states can come up with their own tax laws. So they get to define what's taxable or not. So depending on what your good or your service is, would define that. So sales tax is added to the price of taxable goods or services and collected from the purchaser at the time of sale. So Florida's general state sales tax is 6%, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go down to use tax. Use tax is due on the use or consumption of taxable goods or services when sales tax was not paid at the time of purchase. So that's essentially what I just said when I explained. It sounded like it was the same to me, but essentially that's what it is. So it says, for example, if you buy a taxable item in Florida and did not pay sales tax, then you owe the use tax. If you buy an item tax exempt intending to resell it, and then you use the item in your business or for personal use, then you owe use tax. If you buy a taxable item outside of Florida and bring it into or have it delivered into Florida and you did not pay sales tax on that item, then you owe use tax. So you guys can see how sales and use tax generally works. Then the site is also talking about discretionary, which I'm not going to get into. Transient rental, this is kind of different. So to find out if you need to pay sales tax, boom, it's right here. It'll tell you before you begin business in Florida, you must first find out if your business activity or products will be subject to sales and use tax. So when you're setting up a business, yes, you set up the entity on the corporate side, whether it be your articles of incorporation, articles of organization, whatever it is to actually establish that entity. Then your next step is generally going to the licensing side, whether or not if you need licenses. And typically when you start a business, most times you need a business license to operate that business. Again, this varies by state. And then the last piece is typically the sales or the tax side, because you now have to get your business set up to be able to be on file to start filing the required tax returns for businesses. Now, I don't want you guys to get too in the weeds of things, especially if I don't want to get into the whole weeds of it because that's a whole lesson that's outside of the scope of this conversation. But I just wanted to kind of bring this up because someone asked a question specifically related to this, and I just remembered that I needed to cover it. So it tells you if you collect sales tax or You have to pay use tax. These are some of the items or some of the business activities that will require it. And this is just for the state. So your job and your responsibility would be to check in the state in which you conduct business in, or check in the state in which you, because again, some of us could operate our businesses in multiple states. So if you incorporate a business in one state, you could also set it up in another state and it will be a foreign entity at that point. But one of the things that you have to remember when you're setting up businesses is that you have to have some type, it has to meet the nexus rule. If you don't know what the nexus rule is, it means that you basically have a valid reason for conducting business in that state. You can look that up as well. But everything you need is on your website. And I think the challenge that most people tend to come across is knowing where to look. So knowing where to look, knowing how to find the information, and not only that, making sense of the jargon, because a lot of this is tax law. Essentially, this is tax law. Many of you aren't tax auditors. Many of you aren't tax or are in the law area or realm at all. You just want to be able to operate your business or do whatever you need to do to generate income. And you just know that this whole tax thing is a byproduct of the dream that you're trying to fulfill inside of the business that you create. And so oftentimes we pass on that responsibility to have someone else manage it, to have someone else do it, to have someone else be responsible for it. But even you as a business owner, you still need to make sure that you do your due diligence and checking over whoever you're hiring to do this thing for you. So that, let me see if it was another part of the question. I think they asked another part of the question too about corporate taxes as well. So again, I just clicked on general tax because this is going to cover everything. Look, you can register your business. You could file and pay online. They have corporate income tax. That was another piece. So you could either go to businesses and employers. They even have, we're not going to go into individuals right now, but businesses and employers, corporate income tax. So if you have to file a corporate income tax, then that means that you have a corporation, meaning you set up an INC, you set up an Inc. If you set up an Inc., that's a different set of tax filing or tax forms that you have to fill out. Federal side, you got to complete an 1120. When it comes to your state, they'll tell you what the tax returns are that you need to file, which in this case will be the corporate tax return. So it's all there. It tells you who needs to file it. All corporations doing business, unless you are a tax exempt organization, you all know that tax exempt, they don't have to file these. They have to do the nonprofit type of forms. The informational forms is essentially what it is. Doing business, earning income that exists in Florida. This is just based on the state. So it's telling you if you're a foreign out-of-state corporation, I was just talking about foreign entities, limited liability, single member LLCs, all of that. So it will vary and it will differ by state. So this is something that everyone needs to make sure that they understand when it comes to the business that they're doing. Go to your state's website, look up business taxes or income taxes or filing requirements, and everything you need will be there. It tells you the due dates. It tells you everything you need to know. One of the tax tips, I did tax tips, I think, this year. So 2022. So I did tax tips for like a month and a half straight, or maybe 2 months straight. I can't even remember how long, but I was sharing different things and reminders that people could consider when it comes to taking advantage of whatever tax breaks, whether they are a business owner, small business, or if they're homeowner, whatever. So all of that, I was sharing a lot of information there. One of my lessons, I have a couple of videos on like how to know which tax returns to file for federal purposes. What things you need to keep in mind of when it comes to, deductions that you need to maintain and things of that nature. I was just talking to Chef Joe the other night. I told you all that Chef Joe had his, he had a business powwow recap dinner for us. The food was dynamic. Do you all hear me? My mouth is watering right now just thinking about Chef Joe's food, but it was so good. but we had a powwow and he was telling me the same. He was like, yeah, I need to talk to you about, this about taxes and what I can write off. I was like, I got you, sure. And we had a simple conversation. He said something. I said, oh, well, technically, do. He was like, hold up, what you just say? He was like, that little piece of information right there just shed so much light that I didn't even know. So, and this is something that we learned inside of the kickoff class today with Mr. Tony Gaskins. He was talking about doing your research and vetting and looking things up for yourself. Granted, I know it can be time consuming. It's time consuming for me to set aside the time to do these budgets. It's time consuming for me to set aside to map out these plans or do these research or follow up with these people or get all of this stuff done for my mom. Because I understand that there are several things that I don't know, but the key is being willing to continue to learn and not completely take your hands 100% off of something that you have a tangible responsibility for. Because when it comes to taxes, when it comes to business, when it comes to all of that, at the end of the day, if you are the owner, then you're going to bear that responsibility. So it's important that you do your due diligence, because sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes people don't have the best work ethic. Sometimes people don't have the best integrity. Sometimes you may conduct business with people that is not to your benefit. So I always share this on live streams and videos when I was talking about one thing that I learned as an auditor. And this question actually took me back to my auditing days, because I used to be a tax auditor. And this was one of the things that I had to do: go into businesses and find the instances in which they did not pay sales and use tax. So I was in business offices looking at all of their invoices, looking at this, referring to the tax code, trying to go back to see, oh, wait, this actually falls under this. So they should have been paying use tax on this, or they should have paid sales tax on this. And then boom, these businesses get hit with a liability. I know it wasn't nice, but I just had to do my job as an auditor at the time. And that's how I learned the tax law so well, because I had to know how to audit it, because I had to audit the returns of other people, other businesses. So and at the end of the day, that tax bill that got issued out went to the business, not the tax preparer, not the accountant, not any of that. It went to the business, the EIN, and they had to bear the responsibility of paying that bill. So if you are a business owner, you want to make sure that you have your dots dotted, your I's dotted, your T's crossed, and everything. Because when it comes to substantiation, you got to be ready. When it comes to substantiation, you got to be ready, because the auditors ain't playing no games when they come up in there. They ain't playing no games when they come up in there. Okay, so you all, I wanted to address that. And then I don't think the person who asked the question is going to be on. So they will see the replay. All right, Nurse Mo says, are you working on the budget monthly or weekly budget? Okay, so this is a great. Hey, Nurse Mo, I just recognized your face. I see you in the chats on TG videos. Nurse Mo, so are you working on the budget monthly or weekly? So for me, I work on my budgets. My intention is to work on my budget every week, because I manage 2 households. And so I have to make sure that mom's stuff is good, and I got to make sure that my stuff is good. There are some times where stuff happens and I miss my meeting. So like this morning, I typically have my budget meetings at 8 a.m. in the morning. This morning, I overslept. So I didn't get up. And as soon as I got up, I had to jump into the class, which I was late for. So I said, well, once we finish the class, then I'm still going to make sure that I have my budget meeting, not only because many of you guys were waiting, but because it's a part of my process and it's a part of my regimen. So, and also I saw Sherry said, she was like, I actually forgot about it. She said, but I did what I had to do anyway. So shout out to Sherry for getting all of her work done and doing what she needed to get done. But so I try to do it weekly. If it doesn't happen, if something comes up, then I'll just roll it for the next week. I have my monthly process, however, is for my business stuff. So I have a calendar reminder for my business to update my bookkeeping, make sure that I have a lot of my bookkeeping stuff automated anyway. So it's just a matter of me just going and checking and making sure that the categories are correct. So I'll do that, plan out, financials, doing analytics, running numbers and all of that kind of stuff. That's fun for me. So I do that once a month. I don't do that every week, but my personal budgets, that's a week to week thing. The business, I do it once a month. But because I'm a planning type of person or strategic planning type of person, I like to set things up in advance. So I do budget projections for both my business and personal based on the averages of all of the expenses that I had in the prior year. So now that we're on the last day of the month and the last day of the year, I can update and retrieve my bookkeeping data so that I can get my balances by category. And then I can figure out what the average was between those lines of how much I practically spent monthly. And then I use that data. I go through this whole exercise to figure out what I want to cut, where I went over and all of that. And then I use those to make my projections for 2023. So I have my budget projections a whole year in advance. That's just how it works. The same way when it comes to my YouTube content, I have it planned out in advance. Like I know what I want to cover. So like even when we went over the budget with, it must have dropped already. It's 4:00. So I had a video that was scheduled to go out today. It's already out now, for my 2022 year in review. And in that video, I was talking about how I was moved to start the live streams budget with me. And it just so happened that the first day of 2022 was on a Saturday. And because I do my budgets on a Saturday at 8 a.m., I just started doing a live stream on Saturday at 8 a.m. But I know 8 a.m. was early. So I was like, well, I probably won't do it 8 a.m. I probably won't do budget with me every Saturday morning live. I want to do a different topic. So I had all of the topics mapped out for the whole year, all of my ideas. And now I'm going to have to, well, I'm not going to say I'm going to have to change because I already kind of had this stuff in mind, like my strategy for 2023. But I got some good insight and some gems from Mr. Gaskins today. So I'm going to realign some things and just make sure that what I'm planning to do can still be incorporated based on what the suggestion was that I received today. But nonetheless, I like to plan things out in advance so that I could be able to track my progress, so I could be able to put in my actuals. So and then this can also help me identify when things flux hugely. Because if I'm looking at my data from 2022 and then I compare that to 2021, I can go back and see what category area had the biggest influx in terms of actual expenses. And then that can allow me to go back to say, wait, something in your analytics, something in your estimates, something in your projections wasn't all the way right. Like it was something that you didn't account for. So because I'm an analytical person, I'm an accountant by nature. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting, MBA in finance. I've been a Wall Street Journal student achievement recipient. So I'm very analytical. That's just how my brain works. So for me, I need percentages, I need numbers, I need fluxes, and that's going to make me say, what the heck is going on? Because I'm a figure it outer. So I like to figure things out. So if I look at my data in that way, it can help me to make different decisions in my finances. And I notice that I even do that in my process life as well. So with work and even with YouTube and just looking at data and this and just trying to figure out, okay, well, what am I missing or what am I doing wrong is something that triggers me because I'm a process improver. I like to fix things. So if something isn't right, or if something is seeming like it's off, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to try to figure out what's going on so that I can fix it. It's funny because I had a what do you call those meetings? Oh, the year-end evaluation. I had a year-end evaluation meeting with my boss, and they had mentioned to me something along the lines of like I don't want I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was similar to like you have a way of identifying a problem or seeing a problem, or somebody can tell you a problem, you internalize that problem and you come back and you say, here's my solution. And my boss said to me that that's a skill that not a lot of people have. My boss said to me that that is a skill that is something that can benefit not only you but everybody else, because you have an ability to look at something, internalize something, figure out what can make it better, propose it, and then go implement. And I was like, I said, my boss is so right. Because if I think about the whole longevity of my life, I've always been that way. I feel like I came out the womb thinking. I remember I was looking at my baby picture fresh out the womb, and I have like these little, like whenever I think, these pop up. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's probably not popping up the right way because I'm trying to force it, but I had these little dents that pop up in my head. I had those same dents in my baby picture. I be thinking. And I heard several of you all say here, even on our live streams, like when you facilitate, you make us think. And it's not like I'm forcefully trying to do it. I'm just sharing conversation because I'm thinking through my own stuff and I just end up saying it out loud. And then if you guys have specific questions and so forth, then yeah, sometimes I will be kind of guiding you to think through stuff, and especially like during my coaching calls and stuff. But yeah, I don't know why I shared that. I forgot the point that I was trying to make. But yeah, that'll be the end of that conversation. Are there any other questions? Oh, Nurse Mo was asking about frequency. So yeah, so that's how I do mine. And I'll of course be modifying because I modify stuff all the time. Okie dokie. The analysis is what gets me excited. I can't wait to see mine. Yay! Yay! I can't wait to see yours too, Sherry. Let's go, Sherry. Let's go, Sherry. Let's go, Sherry. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm so excited, you guys. Okay, Q Sky says, yep, it dropped 16 minutes ago. Yes. And I just remember it's a lot of stuff in that video. It's a lot of stuff in that year in review video because I literally like was reflecting on the whole year, and I'm just going to be in silence for right now because the whole coaching class today. Oh man, just shout out to Tony Gaskins. Just shout out to Tony Gaskins. It's just a blessing, man. Just a blessing. Okay. All right. I just found out about you and TG's group this AM. All right. So you was in the class this morning. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on over. I appreciate it. So I don't think I see any other questions. Sophia, I've read and listened to each one and we'll put it in motion. Oh, yes, the Queen Divinity does have the fin switch. I forgot. Yes, she does. Queen Divinity does have the fin switch. So awesome. Yes. And I definitely suggest to piecemeal it. So one lesson a week will give you time to implement, give you, 7 days to implement each lesson. So that's awesome. Awesome. Still calculating month-end totals, planning to calculate year-end totals tomorrow, then perform 2022 financial analysis. Come on, Sherry. You about to make me shout. Let me put my emoji up. Where is it? Let me get my get up and shout emoji. This get up and shout emoji. Get up and shout. Amen. Okay, came over from Tony Gaskins' kickoff call today. I want to learn more about the Debt Demolisher, who she is. Oh, thank you so much, Q Scott, for dropping my link to my website in the About Me section. Okay. Acacia says, awesome. Yeah. All right, you all. It is 4 o'clock and I gotta get out of here, and it's already dark because, man, I'm gonna have to close out. For those entrepreneurs who utilize CPAs to prepare their taxes, do you recommend they share access to their budget spreadsheets with their accountants to support official year-end tax docs? So this is a great question. And you could have CPA, when it comes to CPAs, some CPAs specialize in certain things. So there may be CPAs who don't do taxes. There may be CPAs who don't do, I mean, they have the ability to, but it just depends on what that CPA wants to specialize in. Because your CPA is just you having a license and you having the credentials to be able to be able to operate under the authorities as a certified public accountant, which you can cover many things inside of that. But you should be working, if you have a CPA, you should be working hand in hand with your CPA or your bookkeeper or your tax preparer. All of those connections that you have should be seamless. I had a friend of mine who recently got a CPA. And one of the things that I was suggesting from the beginning, I was like, your books got to be together. Like, any tax preparer is not going to want to go through all of your stuff to try to help you organize. That's a whole nother bill that you need to be paying for that. Because if you are a business owner, you should have all of your activity, all of that stuff should be categorized. You should be good to go. The only thing that you should need is a printout that'll have all of your expenses summarized. If you really want to get savvy with it, you can have your CPA make sure that they tag your expenses or summarize your expenses in a way where it can easily align with the tax, the lines in the tax forms. So depending on what type of business entity you have, it will determine which tax form you actually have to fill out. Depending on the tax form that you have to fill out, there's certain lines within those forms. So if I were a new business owner, hypothetically, and I wasn't really sure how to navigate things, I hired a CPA, and let's say the CPA doesn't do bookkeeping. So you got somebody else doing your bookkeeping, or you do your own bookkeeping. Then I would ask my CPA, if they're the person that's preparing the taxes as well, to give me the categories or tell me how I could align the stuff that I have here towards the tax lines. But I mean, if the CPA is doing the tax filing, they should essentially do that if you give them your information. But depending on how your bookkeeping is, it may be hard for them to figure it out. So many times, especially if you are going to a new CPA or you're having a new bookkeeper do something for you, if they really are big about their work, they would request copies of what was done before so that they could kind of gauge the validity of it. Because essentially, once you step into the ring, once your new CPA steps into the ring, they're now bearing responsibility for, serving, especially if they're a paid tax preparer, because then their name is going to be like at the bottom. There's so much that I can cover with this. But the bottom line, yes, you should be working together, and your budgets should essentially be based on your expenses plus whatever you plan to spend in the future. But if you're working with a CPA, they should definitely be able to kind of do that for you. But if your CPA does not do tax prep, then I would work with making sure that whatever reports they give you is going to be able to really tie into what is going to be needed for tax purposes, which they should. But yes, indeed, Coach Natisha's our third moderator. Coach Natisha's birthday is coming up in a couple of days. Can you all believe it? Next Friday is Coach Natisha's birthday. And we are going to celebrate Coach Natisha. So shout out to Coach Natisha as well. Yes, our third moderator and dedicated TG moderator in the building as well, for sure. All right, I mentioned this in previous Budget With Me sessions, but can you please provide those who have one of your budget templates the best method for starting new tabs for 2023 usage? So I can share with you what I do. So the only file that I typically add new tabs to is the My Budget Outline, because I really don't have any graphs or charts or anything that's kind of tied to that. The only thing is that it links from the prior spreadsheet to the next spreadsheet to pulling, like your ending balances. So that's really the only one that I typically add tabs to. But the trick that I do for mine is I just create a copy of the whole file and make it a new one for the month. So in my drives, I have my financial folders, and it's by month. My financial folders has my budget outline. My financial folder has my monthly budget versus actual, because again, it's supposed to be monthly. So I have that monthly. I also have my debt trackers. I also have that's the main one that I go through every month. I have a couple other templates that are like annual templates. So like doing the compare and all of that stuff that I was just sharing earlier, that template is going to be in my December folder, or my month end, or my year-end analytics folder. So that's how I do mine. But if you want to combine like all of the data, it's possible, but the way that my templates are set up, it's not feasible to add data in it, like if you want to pivot it. So that's why I always share the advantage of utilizing bookkeeping software, because the software is going to have all of your transactions anyway, and they can spit out the report for you like that without you having to do anything. And you could just export the data from there into an Excel file and then do whatever calculations you want to be able to do, because it's already going to compile everything for however many years you want to include it. So not even just on an annual basis, you could say, give me a range for 2021 through 2020 through 2021. 2020 through 2022. So that'll give you a 2-year range for however long you had that data in there. So to help with minimizing manual manipulation, I really encourage bookkeeping software, but I understand that when it comes to using systems, it can be challenging for folks. But again, when it comes to that, it's about repetition and study. So once you get into the flow of it, it'll be easier. You'll get the hang of it. I'm telling you, I love the system I use. I get all kind of reports. I get all excited. That's how I came up with the projections. I was like, oh, I can export this, get my counts, do this, figure out my average, do this, and then boom, and then just plug and drop. I'm formula driven. So that speaks my language. All right. I don't see any other questions. So I think with that, we can go. That means that give me some time to get on out of this door. Get on out of this door. Okay, this was a question to benefit the group. Yep, I'm like you. I don't play. Oh yeah, I know, Q Sky. I know. I don't play by my records, and tax prep, organizations, and bookkeeping is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Was that on your list today? Was that on your list in class? I'm pretty sure it was. I have to tell you guys, I had a revelation today. When we did that exercise about, I think it was the exercise from session 2. Oh my God. When I wrote that down, I said, oh my God, that never came up for me until this day. That never came up for me. I was like, oh, it pierced me. It pierced me so bad. And I said, I'm just going to have to go back and sit on this just a little bit more, because I need to I need to sit in that just a little bit more, because it pierced, but it was empowering to hear. I was like, oh my God, I never knew. I was like, that's where that came from. That's why I do it. That's why. Oh my gosh. It was powerful. It was powerful. Tony Gaskin's class was off the chain today. It was so good. It was so good. Okay. All right, everybody. If there aren't any questions, I am going to go ahead and close out. And I want to let you know we start a new year tomorrow. So new year means new things and means new approaches. So you all know that I plan my year out for not only my finances, but also for my content, because both of these things are very important to me in not only, just my life, but my finances helps me to sustain my livelihood and continue to take care of my mom and things of that nature. And my purpose work, which ties into YouTube and having a channel for 5 years now. I think we just had our 5-year anniversary. 5 years now. And I switched things up a bit. So starting in the new year, there's going to be a different approach to things. So what I want to encourage you all to do is to stay tuned to the community page for next announcements regarding when our next live stream will be. So please stay tuned for that and be on the lookout for the new approach. The closing video of the year is already out. And you'll be able to see when the new drops and stuff will take place. But you all, this year coming, I really want us to focus on a lot of things in terms of being intentional, bettering ourselves, and even doing the things that hurt. Doing the things that hurt. Chef Joe got on me the other night. Oh my goodness. Convicted my whole soul. He got on me this morning when y'all sent him looking for me. It's like, DDTV fan was looking for you. I was like, I was knocked out. I was over here trying to get my little 4 hours of sleep. But it reminded me of so many things of how imperative it is to and I want to be careful how I say this, but how imperative it is to honor your truth and what you feel you are being led to do. One of the revelations I had today, and I could just share this with you all, is that I can put a lot of things on my plate because I have this, I can do it. And because I had this, I can do it, I'm trying to do it. And I won't go to sleep until I get it done. Depending on what it is. There's some things that I just have a very heavy resistance to. And my goal for 2023 is to focus on addressing those things that I have a very heavy resistance to. Many of you may know what this resistance is. Many of you may not know what this resistance is, but eventually, some point in time, if I'm led to share it, it'll be shared. But for the most part, my intention is going to be working around that. And when we talked about rewards during Tony Gaskin's kickoff class today, I said to myself that I have to find a different way to reward my behaviors or lack thereof. So I realized that I need to use something that is going to hurt me in a sense that will push me to do it. So that's all I'm going to share for now. It's been an hour and 43 minutes. 43 and a half minutes, which I was not planning to be on that long because I definitely got to get on out of this door because I got to catch the store before it closed and I got to get back and get ready for the new year. So I want to wish you guys a very happy new year. I hope you all enjoy the 2022 year in review. Look, I was cracking up. I was like, Lord, Tony, talk about year in review. I said, mine already scheduled to go out. Mine already scheduled to go out. But I think it's, well, you can tell me what you think, but I thought it was a nice recap of, the year. A lot has happened this year. So a lot has happened this year. I'm like, oh my God, so much has happened. Okay, y'all, I'm not gonna keep you just to keep you. I'm gonna go. Definitely we'll be checking out the community page. So has a way to create suspense. Come on, somebody. Queen Divinity, a comment for you above. We wrap up. Okay. Oh, Queen Divinity has a comment. Let me see. What comment, Queen Divinity? Sad I had to miss Mr. Gass's class today. I know he dropped some big jams. Oh my gosh, he dropped some too many jams. He dropped too many jams. Too many. Queen Sophia, please don't disappear again without telling us. I wasn't planning to. Look, you guys, I said, oh, I'm just going to sleep for about an hour or two. I can nap for about an hour or two, get up in like an hour or two. Man, my body was like, nope. Nope. I don't see anything else, Queen Divinity. I know sometimes this platform doesn't show all of the comments, so I may just have to go back into go back to it once it processes and read the chat. Okay. Right. Why do we have such a resistance to our resistance? Man, oh man. So challenging. Resistance is a hard thing. I'm like, I keep telling myself, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay, you answered it and it was retracted, but it still showed up on the platform. You said, oh, okay. I don't remember what it was, but okay. Okay. All right, everyone. That is it. I want to remind you that your financial prosperity awaits you. And so, oh no, I cannot close without giving a huge gratitude and acknowledgement to our triple threat moderators. Acacia, hey Acacia, come on, let's go, Acacia. And Q Scott, hey, Q Scott, hey, Q Scott, let's go. And Coach Natisha, I'm pretty sure something will come up for you, Coach Natisha. I realized, I was like, I don't have a jingle for Coach Natisha. I'm pretty sure it'll come up. It's not like I make them up. They just come off the cuff. I think some of you guys will be able to see that in the year in review too, because I grabbed a couple of them that I came up off the cuff and stuck them in the video. So that'll be funny to see and listen to. But shout out to our moderators. Thank you so much for all of your love and support and care. I appreciate you guys more than you know. You guys are the best. And shout out to all of the DDTV fam channel members. I appreciate you guys for joining the channel. For those of you who are members, get ready for the ride in 2023 because we're going all the way in. Exclusives just for the DDTV fam. So let's get it. And for our Patreon members as well. So thank you all so much for pledging and supporting the channel to support our DDTV channel and our book club over on Patreon. Oh, y'all know what? I realized something. I was listening to one of my old playlists, and I remember one of the videos or one of the playlists I had said out loud in the middle of me speaking in the video. I guess I never chopped it out, but I said, speaking of which, I want to start a financial education book club. I was like, but I haven't thought about like where I'm gonna do it, how I'm gonna do it, or whatever the case may be. And then lo and behold, February 2022, I actually got the idea from Mr. Tony Gaskins. Because he had mentioned Patreon in one of his videos, and I was like, what the heck is Patreon? And so I started looking into it and looking it up, and I was like, this would be a really cool place to have the book club. And so I started messing around with the site, and then next thing you know, the whole site was done in the night. And I was like, oh, okay, I think this is what we're going to do. But it's interesting how you never know a thought that you may say, or something that's toiling, or something that just may pop in your mind, how the solution for it or the creation for it would just end up showing itself. Because I remember saying that in that video in 2021, but I didn't think that in the next year that it was going to come to fruition. So thank you guys so much for your support and all of the good stuff. Okay. All right. So happy New Year to everyone. Thank you so much. And I want to remind you that your financial prosperity awaits you, and so does your financial sanity. You already know what I'm going to tell you to do. And that's what? Get to work. All right, guys. Bye. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia